we go. There's the right one. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Shout out to the chat. What's up, everybody? Let's get this going. Smash the thumbs up if you can be so kind, and share this out if you like sharing things, because sharing is caring, as they say. Hard to make any sense of what the hell is going on right now with the Iran war. It's information's all over the place. Trump saying, you probably heard, what was it, Sunday? He announced, or Monday morning, whatever. Yeah, Monday morning. He announced there's going to be a 5-day kind of break. So he wasn't going to bomb all the energy facilities. And because Iran was all of a sudden talking and he was liking what he was hearing, et cetera, et cetera. That was kind of sus because it's like, oh, okay, so just happens to be the break is every day that the market's open. And then after the 5 days, that's kind of when the Marines are going to get there. So seemed like a head fake to me. But he came out again today and he says now they're talking about a month for peace talks. But while all this is going on, there's still, the war's still going on. Israel's still getting hit. Iran's still getting hit. So there is no real break in the fighting. So a lot of people are thinking, this seems like more bullshit. And then, with Iran, it's almost like there's multiple factions who have different opinions about this. There's like one guy trying to make a peace deal, but then like everybody else is like, no, we're not doing peace. This is all bullshit. So it's hard to know what's really happening, man. It really is. It's really confusing. I hope, it could be Trump could be doing a head fake and they're just, trying to buy some time, or maybe he's just trying to keep the price of oil down and this is all to manipulate the markets. But I pray, I hope that what's going on is that he's realizing that this is just this is not a winner. This is a big loser. It's a big stinker. And he listened to idiots. And maybe there's some good people in there finally convincing him like, hey, let's just call it a victory and call it off before this gets even worse. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But we'll listen to a little bit of Trump today. He had a little question and answer portion of his speech today where he talked a lot about it. And then we're going to just read everything that's being reported about it. What's going on with Iran? Like the guy that apparently is trying to work to make a peace deal in Iran. They're threatening to execute him. So all this peace deal shit might all just be one guy who is trying to make peace while all the hardliners are like, fuck you. And I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard to make heads or tails. Maybe I'll set up a poll. Let's set up a poll. Let's do that. Let's see what you guys think. Is this a head fake or is this the real deal? I hope it's the real deal. Let's see. Let's start a poll. Here we go. Peace talks. Question mark. Real deal or head fake? I should add another one. Head fake is market manipulation as well. So head fake just means it's bullshit. Okay. Shout out everybody. I'm a little early tonight. Like usual, I have when I go early, I notice it just seems to fuck up the show going out because I guess you can't have two shows at the same time. Tim Pool's on. No one else can do a show when Tim fucking Pool's on. Oh, Beanie Boy. But yeah, so depending on how this show goes, I may never do early shows again. All my shows might be late as fuck because that's when I guess I have less competition and YouTube actually shares the fucking show out. Let's get to Trump's little press conference today. And yeah, we're going to watch quite a bit of it. Let's see what he has to say. By the way, guys, links are in the description. If you want to support the show, it's much appreciated.
Let's see. I'm fine. But I was a big victim of it. Yeah, please.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out. And now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. They're pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing?
Yeah, their ability to shoot missiles. That's not gone. Israel's getting hit again today. And by the way, a report I saw was that Iran is refusing to hold peace talks with Kushner and Witkoff now. There's been a lot of people criticizing Trump for using those two guys. Because, what the fuck do they know? What the fuck do they know?
That's doing well. You know, if you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran, the city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want.
Except stop them from shooting missiles off at everybody. That would be the main thing to stop them from doing. But apparently you can't stop them from doing that. So. And
as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world.
He needs to change the way he talks about shit. He's a little too loosey-goosey with it. You realize a bunch of children died, right? One of your fucking decisions led to, a bunch of fucking innocent children dying. And he talks about it so willy-dilly. The privilege of it, shut the fuck up and, actually show some respect for, that decision and the lives it's gonna fucking cost, dude. For fuck's sake.
And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to...
Oil, price of oil. I look, if I was to bet on anything, I think this is really just to calm the markets down. But I sure hope it's not. I sure hope. Yeah, Matata McCleskey, you're still blocked, buddy.
Continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something that happened?
The fact that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
Your
weapon?
former Border Patrol chief, Greg Bovino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Oh, I got a question about Bovino. Remember Bovino? What happened to Bovino? We don't hear about ICE anymore. That's crazy how that works.
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol chief. He just retired.
Bovino got fucked over by Trump, dude. He does that. People put themselves out on a limb for Trump. And then, even if they do a good job, if they get a little bit of bad press, Trump just throws them under the bus. This dude wants loyalty from everybody, but he's loyal to nobody.
I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed from prisons all over the world. They came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people, really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people. And many are self-deporting.
Are you sure? Because I keep hearing that quietly you guys are pulling back on the deportation shit. Because I guess, foreign matters are always trumping American domestic issues.
Because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting, Tom. Going back, I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
What's your message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck in airports? It's really devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
Your message to Americans right now stuck in airports as we speak because Democrats won't
Well,
fund
they
DHS?
just don't, they won't. Look, This is a deal that was done in the great big beautiful deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you buy a car, you take money, you pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars. If it's an American car, only if it's...
These are weak. They're weak fucking tax cuts versus what he said he was going to do, right? Tariffs, and maybe we'll get rid of income tax. Maybe we'll get rid of income taxes for people under 100,000. And then it's just more like, oh, you get an extra deduction here or there. Oh, you get more back. Oh, you're interested in your return. No, stop taking my fucking money, dick face.
It's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr. But they don't vote. Rand Paul, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement.
You could have been, if you were like at least half of what you portrayed yourself to be on the campaign trail. If you could have at least pulled off half of it, been half of the man you pretended to be, you could have been a great president. But at this point, it's not looking good.
But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy. Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy.
Let's get to the Iran questions.
We have correct, yep.
Mr. President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah, a little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means.
Are you sure? Because isn't that the one that caught on fire?
Nephilim-Death-Squad super chatted $10.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I forgot to mention super chats are open as well. If you guys want to support the show, it's this is a fan-funded show, so it's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Isn't that the one that's out of commission where, apparently there was a fire that, but the fire wasn't from, I don't know. I'm a little suspicious that they're hiding every bit of bad news. They're just going to hide it.
101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea.
For the most part.
Right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting, the coolest cucumbers ever. Most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this. They're not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here.
Really, I could have sworn that the Abraham Lincoln is out of commission.
And amazing to watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, because these were powerful. These were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people choke. They don't choke. These guys don't choke. They're the best in the world. We have the best in the world, yeah.
Mr. President, what would be your message today to the TSA agents who have been.
This is the AI overview. As of March 2026, reports that the USS Abraham Lincoln was rendered inoperable or forced to retreat by Iranian strikes are false, according to the U.S. Central Command, because they would never lie, right? While Iranian officials claim to have hit the carrier, the U.S. military confirmed it continued to operate normally in the Arabian Sea, dismissing the claims. Active status. Operation. The USS Abraham Lincoln. CENTCOM released photos of the Abraham Lincoln actively operating, confirming the vessel was not hit. Iranian sources and AI generated, but that's not the one that was on fire then? That was a different one? I could have sworn the Abraham Lincoln was out of commission, or maybe, I don't know where I saw it on Twitter. I mean, the AI now, obviously the AI is going to push propaganda, but, you know, maybe this is true.
Staying home
Maybe it's squeaky clean, still operating.
in recent days amid this impasse.
Well, some of them are needing money, you know, because the Democrats cut off their money. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them, you know, they didn't get paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem. In fact, I actually said to the Senate, why would you say this is a Democrat problem? I think the polls are showing it's a Democrat problem. And they'll do anything actually to hurt our country so they can try and win the midterms. And if we ever went back to our old policies, we wouldn't have a country left.
If they get a deal, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, to fund all but enforcement operations of ICE, to get those TSA agents repaid and open.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that. I want to hear about Iran.
I'm pretty much not happy with it. Break their deal. Everything was fine. They hurt our country, or I call it successful, like no, there was a good pay. Put our country.
Can you give us any more sense of who exactly in Iran it is, either Witkoff, Kushner, and others are speaking with?
Yeah, we had, I hate to say this in front of these young people. They're not children. I spoke to most of them. They sound like adults to me, even though they are sort of children, right? They'll always be your children. But I hate to say it, but
Okay.
we killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out. We have really.
Well, let's hope if there is a group that's trying to make peace on behalf of all of Iran, I'm reading everywhere that there's like the IRGC, like the military elements, like the hardliners do not want peace. And there are people calling for the execution of this dude. I have a bookmark about this dude that supposedly is the one working to get a peace deal.
Regime change, you know.
And let's hope, if this is true, let's hope this guy stays alive.
This is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with that created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust. But I don't trust anyone. Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present.
This is a little weird. This talk of this present. Like, what are we talking about here? It might not be a good idea to be accepting gifts from a country that you're at war with. But let's see what it says.
Tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant.
Of course not. Why wouldn't you? That makes me doubt this whole story, to be honest.
Prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, like a Trojan horse. Like, oh, you're going to accept a fucking present? Maybe it's a bunch of, did they give him a bunch of free fucking Iranian oil or something? Like this? Why wouldn't you say what the fuck the present is in the first place? Is it national security? Or, I don't know. That's just weird.
oil and gas related. And it was
A gold
very nice
pager?
thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people.
That was Israel's present to Trump.
Because, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone. As the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum racked up pretty good, and everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone. But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out, and the present, the gift they made to us was very significant, and they said they were going to do it, and it happened.
Think about it like this, though. If you happen to be the guy in Iran right now, like say, everybody above you's got murdered, and now you're the guy, you'd probably would want to make a peace deal because that would guarantee that you're going to run the new Iran, right? Iran, you're the new guy. Because if you can make the peace deal, that means you survive, and now you have power in the next whatever iteration of Iran. So that might be what's going on with this guy that is trying to make a deal. He's like, fuck, dude, if I can make a deal right now, I'll be running shit in Iran.
And they're the only
Iran,
ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the Strait, yeah, it was.
Are you negotiating on who's going to control the Strait from now on?
No, we'll have control of anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list, but again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons.
I heard that they agreed to it before you guys decided to actually attack. We got some shit on that earlier. That like Iran had already essentially agreed to all the demands when it came to like uranium enrichment, and they went and attacked anyway.
Not going to have, and they're not going to have enrichment, any of those things. But look, I hate to say that we're in a very good bargaining position, and I hate to say that they're defenseless because, until that last missile is fired, they have little power. But we are in about the best bargaining position. We're way ahead of schedule. And again, they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no missile protection, and most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launchers we've killed. We've killed about 82% of their launchers. So even if they had a missile, they can't launch it. We've been very fast. We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody even comes close. We have the best military equipment in the world. Go ahead.
On Saudi Arabia, there's been some reporting that you've been talking to the Crown Prince. Have you been focused on normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel?
Well, no, we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. What do you hear with Saudi Arabia?
Just hearing that you've been talking and that he has been encouraging you to do certain things related to Iran. Can you share?
Well, he's a warrior. He does, yeah. He's a warrior. He's fighting with us, by the way. Saudi Arabia has been excellent, and UAE, excellent. And I will tell you, Qatar, incredible. Qatar took a hit, a pretty bad hit. Qatar is very close. They're essentially, you can walk right over the border. Qatar took a hit. They've been great. They've been very strong. Kuwait, they had a little mishap. They shot down 3 planes with our missiles. They happen to be our planes. But the pilots made it. Can you imagine the pilots making it? The pilots saw what was coming. And they said, those are patriots. We're not going to escape patriots. And they got out of there pretty quick, Pete, right? Pretty amazing that they got out. The 3 pilots lived. They're fine. In fact, they're flying today.
Was the Kuwaitis that accidentally fired the missile?
Yeah, the Kuwaitis made a mistake. They fired. They thought they were firing at the enemy.
So the Kuwaitis mistook an American fighter jet for what? An Israeli missile? Israeli doesn't have an air force, so did they mistake it for an Israeli jet? That doesn't make sense. Are they? I mean, they could be that bad and that stupid at their jobs. I mean, the stories of like our military trying to train like the Afghanistan people, they're some of them can't even figure out how to turn a fucking wrench. Like it's difficult. So maybe it was just a stupid mistake, but that doesn't really add up as well. Like, how do you mistake an F-15? Right? It was an F-15. How do you mistake that for a Iranian missile or Iranian jet? How do you? It's just 3 times, not once, but 3 fucking times. I don't know.
Was, as the expression goes, friendly fire.
It's okay,
But,
Bubba. I'm just
the
screaming
pilots
about
are
Iran,
they're
buddy.
flying
You're
today.
good.
Pretty amazing when you think of it. Yeah.
President Trump, on a human level, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out? Like as a human,
On what?
on a human level, not as the President of the United States, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won.
Did I say Israel jet? Clearly, I meant they had to mistaken it for an Iranian jet. I do that too much. I fucking mean to say Israel and I say Iran, and I mean to say Iran and I say Israel. I don't know. I'm slightly retarded.
The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not.
Well, they can do something. They can then target the power plants of the Gulf states. They could start retaliating by also targeting power plants in the Gulf states. So what do you mean they can't do anything? They're still shooting fucking missiles off, bro. If you want to play dirty and target power plants, they can play dirty and target power plants as well, which is probably what stopped you from doing it, I would think.
Close battle. They're totally defeated. We killed their Navy in, would you say 3 days, Pete? Gone. In fact, I was a little upset.
By the way, one report I saw, which is if they were to take out that power plant, it would definitely, because it would create so much fallout that the Strait of Hormuz, because it's right next to the Strait of Hormuz, you would definitely shut down the Strait of Hormuz for a long time. So if the goal is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, blowing up a fucking power plant is probably not the way to do it. I don't know. That was a report I saw. Who knows how true it is.
Why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He said it's more fun shooting them down. But the Navy was wiped out in a very rapid order. Pretty impressive for you guys, you champion wrestlers, right? When you hear this stuff. But you don't. If you read the news, you don't hear this. You read like, oh, they're doing wonderfully. They're doing terribly. They're wiped out militarily. They are dead. Yeah.
No, they're
Is there
not.
a sense of a timeline? Do you want to get something done before the
They are
midterms?
not.
Well, we'd like to see President Putin and President Zelensky sit down and make a deal. I think they're getting close, but I've been saying that for a while. I've settled 8 wars. All of them should have been more difficult than this one. This should have been the easiest one. But these are two people that truly hate each other. You'll find out that hatred is not good for making deals. These are people that they don't like each other very much. Yeah.
I know you said there's a bunch of people from the administration who are negotiating with Iran. There's been reports that the vice president is leading those negotiations.
Yeah, that's the report I saw, that the Iranians are done dealing with Jared Kushner and Witkoff, and that they prefer to actually negotiate with J.D. Vance. Put him in the game. Put him in the game, coach. Let's see what he can do.
Is that true?
Well, he's involved in them. J.D. is involved, and Marco is involved, and Jared Kushner's involved, very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved, and I'm involved. I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the president of the United States, Tom, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't...
No, they wouldn't have. Unless you used it first. This fucking retarded level thinking that Iran just wants a nuclear weapon so that they can, so they can blow up Israel. You realize if they shoot off nukes at Israel, they're going to have a ton of nukes coming back to them, and that would be it for Iran, right? That's not how nukes work. Okay, you want to convince me Iran is some psychopathic nation that just wants to commit suicide? I don't buy it. It's retarded thinking. They want a nuke for self-defense to stop from being invaded by America and Israel. And the only time they'd use a nuke is the same way any other country would use a nuke is if they're already fired upon, or they're in a situation where they're facing total destruction. Like, I mean, Israel has that. What's the plan that Israel has? I forget the name of it, but essentially, like, if Israel's ever facing destruction, Israel has a plan to just nuke the entire world. So if Israel goes, the whole world goes with it. That type of shit.
End the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal. In my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows if what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk.
Yeah, the Samson doctrine, right? Yeah. Thank you.
They were right there. I don't know why. But if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so, we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration said, no, we obliterated it. Just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having.
Then why? Okay, then the war should be over, because that's the whole goal, right? To stop them from getting a nuke. So that should be it. You should just draw down. But we can't, because I think a big part of the problem is Israel doesn't want to stop. So even if we were to be like, okay, we're out of here, Israel's going to just keep going, because Israel is the boss. Somebody asked earlier, why are we at war with Iran? Because of Israel. Because our dear leader, Netanyahu, the real leader of this country, the real president of America, decided we all need to fight Iran. And now he's decided we all need to go boots on the ground and die in Iran. And he's the real leader, and he decides. So tough luck, guys.
2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel.
It's such bullshit, dude. Matata McCleskey, Iran said they'd never nuke anyone. I believe in them. Yet to believe in this, you'd have to throw out all logic and critical thinking to believe that Iran's just going to get a nuke because it wants to commit suicide. If Iran wanted to commit suicide, it could do it without nukes. If Iran was that crazy, you would think they'd be sending 90 million fucking, or however many military they could fucking gather up. Hell, send the whole, if they're suicidal, send every man, woman, and child on a boat here to America to start invading America. Because it's like, whatever, we're suicidal. That's not the case. That's just stupid thinking, fear mongering to get retards to believe it so that they'll be like, oh, we have to do this. Just like people who are like now, all the people who are pro this are like, see, you panicans, we told you it wasn't going to last long, blah, 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 blah. What do you mean? Like, it wasn't long ago. You're saying we're doing this to free the people of Iran, and I'm such a heartless bastard that I don't care about the people of Iran. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Now we're not going to free the people of Iran, right? Like, so, but you're happy now, but I thought the goal was to free the people of Iran. I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe we just haven't killed enough children in Iran. That's the problem. I think maybe if we kill another 10,000 children in Iran, maybe then the Iranian people will be free of this terrible regime. That's the problem. Yeah, we haven't killed enough children in Iran. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic.
And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought, Mr. President.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute?
No, Matata, I actually was agreeing with you in case I went over your head somehow.
Statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation. People don't like me using the word war, so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war.
Oh, God, not this guy.
How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job?
No, he's a fucking idiot. You should have never hired him.
Mark, what? Can we take some of your time?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern navy, a modern air force, modern air defenses, leadership.
Really? Because I heard their navy and air force were essentially nothing. Because unlike us, where our military strategy is let's build the most expensive thing in the world. Oh, we can't just we can't build cheap, affordable jets so we can build a lot of them and mass produce them. No, we need the most expensive jet ever made in the history of mankind. Whereas Iran's whole thing is like, oh, we can build these fucking cheap ass drones and just keep bombing shit all day long. Yeah, that's where their capacity is, it seems.
Massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated.
They're not defeated, ass fuck. If a military is still shooting missiles off at other countries, how could you come here with that smug, dumb-looking fucking face and try to tell me that they've been defeated? Bro, they think we're idiots, dude.
Day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs.
Oh, what a cool guy, huh? What a badass. Oh, he's such a badass, dude.
You have a choice.
You shouldn't have let this idiot talk, Trump. What are you doing? What are you when hopefully at some point Trump realizes he fucked up, he'll never admit it. But then he's going to throw Pete Hegseth under the bus. I can't wait, Pete Hegseth, for Trump to throw your stupid fucking ass under the bus.
As we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hands.
But I thought it was all obliterated. These guys, they just contradict themselves all the time. I thought you already obliterated it. But that's still the goal, to obliterate it even more? How can you obliterate something that's already obliterated? How can you defeat something that's already defeated? Why are we still fighting if it's already defeated and it's obliterated? I mean, at least if you're going to lie, like, have some consistency in your lies to where, you know, maybe it's a little bit believable.
Hand on that throttle, as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not a...
What did he say?
Has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle, as long as...
You jacking that throttle off, huh, boy? You just loving that throttle. Little Jackie Jack.
As hard as is necessary to ensure the...
Look at the little eyebrow raised by Trump. Is Trump realizing, yeah, I shouldn't have let this idiot talk. Let's do that again.
Our hand on that throttle,
Yeah,
as long
get
as
that
hard as
throttle,
is
boy.
necessary to ensure the interests
I don't think Trump liked
of
that.
the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the...
He's thinking already like, I'm going to have to fire this guy. Yeah, he's going to be the next one I throw under the bus to protect my image. I didn't fuck up. Pete Hegseth fucked up.
Conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great job.
Great job. I'm going to fire you tomorrow.
You know, the only two people that were quite disappointed, I don't want to say this, but I have to. I said, Pete and General Raisin Kane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad.
No, yeah, he wants to kill more children. Not enough dead children for Pete Hegseth.
Pete didn't want it to be settled. It's
Have they even apologized or shown any kind of remorse? This is like, yeah, okay, even in a war, like say against like a Nazi Germany or you know, some fucking thing where it's like everybody backs it, we have to go to war. If you accidentally hit a school full of fucking school children and kill hundreds of little girls, you would think the government would come out and be like, yeah, we really fucked up there, and our condolences. That was an accident. I mean, like, but they just okay, let's move on. Oh, bro.
these guys are doing a great job. That's a good attitude, though, Tom, right?
No, it's
They
not.
were not interested in settlement. They were interested in just winning this thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you take things locally, hopefully,
Let's see how gung-ho Pete Hegseth would be if he was on the front lines invading the fucking Karg Island, dude. Somebody to be like this. I was watching a little bit of Tim Pool. Tim Pool's got that guy who's like Israel first guy. I forget his name. You know who I'm talking about, the guy with the mustache. And he's all gung-ho for this. And then Tim got him on the spot and was like, well, you would sign up then, right? You definitely want to go. And the guy's like, no, I want to go. All these pussies, man. As long as it's not them going out there and dying, they're for every war. But the moment it's them that's got to stick their fucking head up from the foxhole and risk it getting blown off, all of a sudden they're against war.
Just winning this thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you, just taking things locally, hopefully not throwing internet.
Elad.
National affairs for a second. Do you support the construction of the 2nd Avenue subway in New York City and will your administration?
Wow, that's really far out, Chris. You know, the 2nd Avenue subway has been under construction for, you're a young guy, is longer than you are old, okay? That's been under construction. I haven't heard about the 2nd Avenue subway in 20.
Yeah, it's been hard. I haven't been watching enough to, somebody says Tim pulls Israel first. It's been hard to get a read on Tim. It seems like he's kind of riding the fence a little bit on this. But Elad is definitely not riding the fence. Elad is like all for this shit. So like, if you're all for it and you think it's worth, because when you go to war and you bomb things, that's what happens. Innocent fucking civilians die. And if you're all for that kind of risk and our soldiers dying, you should be willing to go and fight as well. It used to always be that way. People didn't get to be like, yeah, I'm for war, and then just sit back and watch everybody else go and die. No, like everybody had to go fight. Even the wealthy, like rich people, they'd have to go fight. I mean, they'd probably be leading. Some of them led from the front. They weren't pussies,
Years. What the hell kind of a question is that? I guess they got to get it finished. They spent trillions of dollars practically. No, they spent more money on that than on anything, I think, in the history of our city, in New York City. And it's been under construction for a long time.
Was this it for the Iran questions?
They decided, I've never seen anything like it, other than the worst, the Federal Reserve.
Passed the Save America
Well,
Act.
we'll see about reconciliation.
Yeah, remember the Save America Act? Yeah, nothing's getting done.
He is committed.
Yeah, I think that's it for the Iran stuff. I don't care about anything else right now. Just as President Trump declared he won the war with Iran, we filmed this. They're completely obliterated, right?
It is unusual for a president, a commander-in-chief, to declare victory in a war that is still ongoing, but that is exactly what President Trump has just done.
I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. Militarily, they are dead. Yeah.
And as he was speaking, this is what we were filming here in Tel Aviv. That's an Iranian cluster bomb.
Those cluster bombs are fucking crazy, bro. I don't know if this one's going to show like the last one. There was one I saw where it's like one big rocket and then just all these little rockets are just dropping off from it. Like, scary shit, dude. How do you take that down?
Exploding over Tel Aviv. So this war not only is far from being won, it is not yet over.
The obliterated enemy who is somehow still shooting missiles, completely defeated. They have no ability to fight. Ask the people in Israel right now about that. Just in, Tehran mocks Trump's gift claim with missile strike video. Iranian media published footage of what it said was its first successful ground-to-ground missile strike directed at the U.S. base in Erbil, and describing it as a gift we sent to Trump, according to Mer News. So Iran is like, they're memeing on him right now. It's like, here's your gift, Trump.
به یاد شهدای ناوشکن دنا و بچه‌های مدرسه مینا و شهدای جنگ رمضان یا حیدر کرار یا حیدر
So yeah, they're memeing on Trump. Like, oh yeah, here's your gift. A fat fucking missile headed to Israel, I imagine. It's fucking weird, dude. Shit doesn't add up. Every day, like, what I hear from the administration is just like doesn't add up with reality. Breaking. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned Trump might strike a deal that falls well short of Israel's objectives. Includes significant concessions and limits Israel's ability to conduct strikes against Iran. So yeah, I mean, if Israel doesn't want it done, then it's not going to be done. You know, I wonder if it's even legit or if it's just a way to calm the markets and just to buy more time. And maybe Iran would like be like, oh, peace deal. We'll stop firing missiles. No, they're still firing missiles. I don't know. Absolute betrayal exposed. An Iranian official details how the U.S. begged for peaceful negotiations, promised not to attack, and then bombed them anyway right in the middle of talks. Iran officially declares they will never negotiate with Washington again. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you're hearing multiple things out of Iran. So like seems to be like one guy who's like a high level official. People say he's corrupt, but still very influential. And he's the one that's trying to get a peace deal. But it looks like most of Iran, they're willing to keep fighting. They feel like they're winning.
I don't think the question of talking with Americans or negotiation with Americans once again would be on the table, because we have a very bitter experience of talking with Americans. We negotiated with them last year in last June, and they attacked us in the middle of negotiations. And again this year, they tried to convince us that this time is different. They promised us that they don't have any intention to attack us. And they wanted to resolve Iran's nuclear question peacefully and to find a negotiated solution. And we finally accepted. But again, after 3 rounds of negotiation and after the...
At ST.0 Neon super chatted $2, deception and deceit. They're only tools.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. And that's the thing. Like, Israel can always fuck it up. Like, if Israel doesn't want us to make peace deals, they just keep bombing while we're like, okay, let's make peace. And if Israel's still bombing, it's going to be hard for Iran to be like, okay, we'll agree to a peace deal as you're still bombing us. I mean, it could still happen. I think with the 12-day war, even after they came to an agreement, there was still some strikes that happened. Israel was like getting in as many strikes as they could, to the last minute, because Israel just, it was like ice cream to them. Like, they had to eat it all before it melted.
The American team in the negotiation, said itself that we made a big progress. Still, they decided to attack us. So I don't think, talking with Americans anymore would be, on our agenda anymore.
So, yeah, it's. I hope we do. I mean, I do want to see a peace deal. Just in, Iran tells the United States it does not want to resume talks with Witkoff and Kushner. Prefers negotiating with Vice President J.D. Vance instead. I think Vance really does want a peace deal, because I think this is terrible for Vance. And his, didn't he say he's not going to run for president in 28 as well? Like, I think they're going to try to give that spot to Rubio. There's no way I'm voting for Rubio. There's no way in hell I'm voting for Rubio. At this point, I don't think I'd even vote for Vance, but I could be swayed at a certain point to vote for a Vance. I don't. If it's Rubio, I'll sit out. I'm not voting for that neocon piece of shit. So anyway, that's getting interesting. How likely is a U.S. and Iran peace deal? Let's see this.
Day 25.
We're day 25 into this fucking thing.
Both relief and confusion. Relief that President Trump has not carried out his threat to hit all the power stations in Iran, and the Iranians therefore have not carried out their threat to reciprocate in kind. That would have taken the war to a whole new level. But it's brought some confusion, because President Trump said that I'm suspending the threat for 5 days because I think I've got a deal. The Iranians have agreed to pretty well everything that I wanted. Well, most of the world is pretty skeptical about that, because if you look at the sort of things that divide the United States and Iran, they're pretty big things. We can look at just 4 of them. First of all, the ballistic missile threat. The Iranians have got a lot of ballistic missiles. The Americans say they can't have any of them. Secondly, what is going to happen to the Strait of Hormuz? What will happen to it after some sort of peace deal? Everything's different there now. Thirdly, what about Iran's existing nuclear stocks? They're believed to have 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium somewhere. And fourthly, the broader issues around the region, which the Israelis are pushing, which will be very difficult to resolve, certainly within 4 or 5 days. Let's just look at them in a little bit more detail. So if we think, first of all, about the ballistic missile issue, the Iranians have always tested their missiles at 2,000 kilometers, and they did that so as to include Israel, but not really many other countries. But last weekend, they apparently threw 2 missiles towards Diego Garcia.
A lot of people that don't believe that. They really do not believe it. And I'm very skeptical that Iran actually shot those missiles as well. Because again, they deny it. Why would they deny it? Why wouldn't they be like, you see, even Trump says we're decimated, but yet we're increasing our ability. Like, that would be something they'd be bragging about and be like, oh, see, look how powerful we are. And we only grow more powerful every day. But no, they're like, no, we didn't do that. And there's, I don't know. We just, who knows?
Now, I'm skeptical
knows?
as to whether they could have done that. One of them fell short. One was shot down en route. We don't know where it was shot down. I'm not certain that they've actually been able to extend their range from 2,000 to 4,000 kilometers. I remain to be convinced. The one missile that might have done that would be the Gado 110, which is a two-stage rocket. Maybe they managed to make one stage, the solid fuel stage, go a bit further with a very light warhead. I'm not sure about that. But Iranian ballistic missile capability is certainly quite impressive, and it will remain impressive unless they agree to get rid of all of it. They're very unlikely to do that. The second issue is the question of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Iranians have demonstrated, both to themselves and to the world.
Did you just listen to my thinking there? So I just gave you my critical thinking on why it's suspicious and why it's suspicious that Iran would deny it, Sagato. Did I say, well, I believe everything Iran says, Sagato? Sagato, we got another one for the front line. Sagato, you getting ready? You getting ready to head to the Strait of Hormuz? We're going to need everybody we can get out there, buddy. God bless you, Sagato. Keep your head down.
That they can restrict ships going through the straits. They haven't blocked them, but they've made them dangerous. And at the moment, what the Iranians are saying is that if you're a friendly country, your ships can go through. If you're a neutral country, they can go through if they pay us $2 million each time. And if you're a hostile country, they can't go through at all. So the Iranians have discovered that they can be toll keepers in the Strait of Hormuz. And that's an advantage which they will not give up easily in any negotiations. This is probably a pointer to the future. And the third issue, of course, is their nuclear capabilities. They demand the ability to be a civil nuclear power. But what does that mean in terms of creating a weapon? We don't know. That remains on the table. And fourthly, the issue of regional stability. The Israelis are determined to keep on taking on Hezbollah, to destroy them. They're determined to deal with Hamas. They're determined to deal with the militias, the pro-Iranian militias in Iraq. And they're determined to neutralize, if necessary, the pro-Iranian Houthis in Yemen. So the broader regional context will remain a big, big problem. And that certainly won't be solved in 5 days of even intensive negotiations. And if all this comes to nothing by the weekend, then the Americans have got another military trick up their sleeve, the arrival of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit from...
I mean, that is pretty suspicious that the 5 days ends on the weekend when the markets are closed. So you can basically have a drop in the cost of oil this week and trick everybody into thinking things are calming down, and then this weekend you just go fucking hog wild. I mean, it is suspicious, dude.
An hour, joined by 2,500 troops from San Diego, so they'll have 5,000 or more Marines available to storm ashore somewhere within the whole Gulf region. They may or may not choose to use it, but the fact is that if this week's diplomacy doesn't really get anywhere, the Americans have another military trick up their sleeve. So as of now, we don't know.
Yeah, another military trick. Let's send a bunch of Marines to die.
Whether this war will take a turn towards peace or a turn towards a new military campaign. But we will know by early next week.
I think it's going to be a complete fucking disaster if we send boots on the ground, man. Like, it's going to be so fucking bad. But Trump thinks it's going to be easy. Oh, it's a real easy operation. Okay, well, then you do it, Trump. Fuckface. You go out there. You parachute your ass down there. Iran just dropped the most humiliating list of demands on Washington. They want formal control of the Strait of Hormuz. Excuse me. Zero limits on their missiles. Yeah, one of the things we're asking is that they give up their ballistic missiles for 5 years. I don't think they'll do that. That would be retarded for them to do that. And actual financial reparations for the war. They are treating the U.S. like a defeated empire.
Nicole. So not indefinite, Robert. If the U.S. and Iran do, in fact, end up at the negotiating table, what would be the key points to making a deal possible?
Well, some of these have been put out into the public sphere from the Iranian side. For example, the president of Iran has said that one of the things that would need to happen would be security guarantees, assurances that the war would not be resuming. Reuters has cobbled together a list here that you see here. Compensation for wartime losses. We've even heard the Iranians use the term reparations. Formal control of the Strait of Hormuz, no ballistic missile program limitations. That last one especially is going to be a difficult one for the Israeli side to swallow, and more than likely from the Americans as well. There are indications that Iran has said that they're prepared to dig their heels in on all of this, believing that they have some degree of leverage, which is why when you listen to people here in the Israeli public, they're not putting a lot of stock into the potential for any talks here, believing that the gap to bridge is just simply a little bit too far wide. And most people here believe that there's still a ways to go in this war.
I hope not. I mean, look, my instincts tell me this is kind of fishy. It feels like Trump's playing doing a little bit of a head fake to buy more time, to calm down the markets. But I sure hope it's real. Because, yeah, I want this shit to end immediately. Absolute bombshell. Former UK Minister Alan Duncan confirms there was a clear peace agreement mediated by Oman for zero nuclear proliferation in Iran. But it was sabotaged and betrayed by Israel because they always wanted to attack Iran. Israel started this war.
Is not to forget how this started, which is there was a pretty clear agreement mediated by the Omanis for zero nuclear proliferation with full inspection, including by the Americans. And this was sabotaged and betrayed by primarily the Israelis.
Our greatest ally.
Deciding they were going to attack Iran
because
anyway.
They didn't believe it.
They didn't want to believe it. This is the war that Israel has always wanted. This is primarily an Israeli-driven war.
If that's so, can America end it? Or is it up to Israel to decide to end it?
I think if America ends it and Israel is left on its own, then I think the world can then very clearly see what Israel is doing. But also, I think Israel's also been exposed as a country whose strategy is not as clever as they think it is. I mean, the Iranians are being the clever ones here. They're not a stupid pushover, but there's no easy regime change, is my point. And it didn't just collapse the next day. Not at all. If anything,
Yeah, I get people are saying, like, they don't think it's going to end because it doesn't look like a victory. Trump's going to look like he got defeated. When does reality matter to Trump? Especially now. Reality seems to not matter. He could absolutely look like a defeat, but then he can just pretend it wasn't. He can just be like, oh, absolute victory. Iran's defeated. They're crushed. What a victory. And then he can have his little parades and fucking, should do like Bush. Go get on an aircraft carrier and be like, mission accomplished. So what does reality matter? Just get the fuck out. Say you won, whatever. Say you fucking, Iran's now populated by a bunch of unicorns. Like, who fucking cares? Just get the fuck out, dude.
Now got a stronger grip in Iran, despite the displacement of 3 million people within Iran. And how can you negotiate them when if you've destroyed things at the center, there's no sense of negotiating with?
You keep killing the person you're going to negotiate with. It doesn't really work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think Israel is going to try to sabotage the peace talks because Israel wants regime change. I don't think Israel is going to be happy unless you have a puppet regime in there. You bring in a Shah or something like that. Like, whoever you can, that's just going to be a puppet to Israel and America. Because that's not going to be the case with the regime that's in there now. Fake news debunked. Rumors spread that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were flying to Pakistan to negotiate a secret peace deal with Iran. Sagar confirms it was a total lie.
I do want to be clear, there are efforts right now by the Pakistanis. So here's some drop site. Pakistan is emerging.
Bro, we're fucked if we got to rely on Pakistan to make a peace deal. I don't know. I just feels like, we're kind of fucked if we're relying on Pakistan.
As the key back channel. They have positioned themselves as a central intermediary between Washington and Tehran. Various outlets confirming active efforts to facilitate the conflict. The Financial Times said that senior Pakistani officials have been relaying messages between Tehran and Witkoff, with the prime minister speaking several times with the president of Iran as well. Reuters had said that the vice president, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, would expect to meet them in Islamabad potentially this week. But again, there's been no confirmation. There are people who are out there posting jets that are on their way. Totally wrong. I actually confirmed it. It had nothing to do with that. It was a Pentagon official, Bridge Colby, who was on his way to India. He's not going to Pakistan. His pre-scheduled trip already had been announced. It has nothing to do with these potential negotiations. So that's where we stand as of right now. We are nowhere closer to any sort of a peace deal. And in fact, like Green, I do want.
It's okay. Trump can just say there's peace, even though everybody's still bombing each other. You could be like, oh, there's peace. I made a peace deal. Because reality apparently doesn't matter anymore. So we're in the hour into the show, guys. If anybody that's watching the show that hasn't hit the thumbs up, if you're enjoying the show, it'd be much appreciated. Let's get the thumbs up going. Absolute chaos. The New York Times reports total confusion in the White House. Trump is desperately begging for a way out of the war to save the markets. Now, Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan are stepping in to mediate because Trump's disastrous war is threatening the entire global economy.
Well, Alicia, I wish I could give you perfect clarity, but there is a lot of confusion right now about exactly who's talking to who and what they are proposing. Not long ago this afternoon, President Trump said that Marco Rubio was talking to the Iranians, which is the first time we've heard that. And then he listed Witkoff and Kushner. And
I know you rub pine on your. I rub pine on my balls. We got it, Cheetah. Try not to spam, okay? It's not that important that everybody knows you rub pine on your balls, buddy. Anyway, shout out to Cheetah Man and his pine. His balls smell like pine, which is probably nice. But yeah, let's calm down.
I think a couple of other names. It's hard to know.
Let's keep it on top. You guys are gonna make me be like Agenda, that guy that does the live streams. They have so many rules in the chat, like. So don't make me have to start putting rules like stay on topic and only talk about what we're talking about. We don't need to talk about what you use to clean your balls, okay? What does that have to do with the Iran war, Cheetah? Love you though, brother. Hope you're doing good.
Whether he was throwing names out, whether he's talking about serious conversations as opposed to maybe kind of superficial contacts that are exploring the possibility of more serious dialogue. But a couple things are clear, I would say, and noteworthy. Number one is that, President Trump, although the military campaign continues, I think is very clearly looking for a way out of this, right? He set a deadline going into the weekend. He extended it on Monday morning, and many people say he did that because he wanted to prevent the markets from crashing. But he's talking about talking, and he is not ruling that out. And you also see a lot of U.S. allies, the Egyptians, the Pakistanis, the Turks. There are reports of Gulf Arab states getting involved. You're seeing that a lot of countries are trying to find a resolution to this, right?
Yeah, because this is terrible for everybody across the board. Nobody wants to see this shit go down because it's going to drag the global economy into like a severe fucking recession, if not like a depression. So yeah. Let's step up, everybody. We got to stop this.
Like countries are stepping forward, wanting to be mediators, wanting to bring gatherings of diplomats together to find some way to end this crisis, which is jacking up oil prices, damaging specific economies in the Middle East, and threatening the entire world economy. But who do we?
Not surprising. Nick Fuentes. Yeah, I forgot I had this one here. Nick Fuentes predicts J.D. Vance will be pushed into negotiating peace with Iran to secure the presidency in 2028. Well, that's an interesting theory. So J.D. Vance can be the guy that comes in and is like, saves the day, and then everybody loves him. We'll see. But I thought he said he wasn't running. Didn't J.D. Vance say he definitely wasn't running in 2028? Didn't he?
There seems to be an angle here with J.D. Vance. And I'm not going to spoil it, but tomorrow we're going to get into all this. The forces of evil are at work even here. And once again, I'm the only one that seems to be able to see it. We talked about it last week. David Sachs is against the war now. Joe Kent resigned from the government. Then he's interviewed by Tucker. Vance is nowhere to be seen. And now all of a sudden this weekend, you start to hear...
Oh yeah, well, according to AI, take it with a grain of salt because AI is essentially retarded and running our lives. We have retarded computer algorithms running our lives. Says he's undecided. So, I don't know.
Have you seen in the papers? They say, well, Vance was quietly against the war. He's fully supportive of the president, but he was expressing his doubts silently. It's like, well, then he's not really expressing them. But you're starting to see that. Vance was always against the war. Vance thought it was a bad idea.
I can picture a Republican primary come 2028 where everybody's running essentially against Trump and throwing Trump under the bus. Because if Trump continues this path, he's going to be so unpopular. They're going to have to do like what Trump did in the 2015 primaries and essentially attack the Republicans. He went after Bush, he went after the neocons. And that might be the move in 2028. So, yeah, maybe if J.D. Vance was to step down and be like, this is not America first and I can't support this, pull a Joe Kent. And then come the primaries in 2028 and he attacks the dumb decisions Trump made and how Trump betrayed America first. Maybe that would, make him really popular with the actual coalition. Because the reality is the MAGA Republicans are going to get behind anybody. Like, they're a fucking cult. But the independents, the swing voters who actually put Trump over the top, who are right now bailing, they might come back for a Vance if he runs a campaign like that.
I'll spoil it a little bit. And you know what they said this week?
I think he could step down and win Energetic Giraffe. Anything's possible.
Never say never. This one? They said the Iranians want to negotiate, but they don't trust Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner.
I think anybody that's supporting this war, that's got their name all over this shit, that's probably going to fucking disqualify people. Because I think if this continues, if it ends tomorrow and whatever, maybe people forget about it by 2028. But if this continues and becomes an even worse quagmire, I think it's going to destroy politically people that have their name on this and want to run in 2028.
Because that was a negotiating team in February. And look at what that profited Iran. So, who do the Iranians want? Say the reports, the rumors, anonymous sources. The Iranians, they're willing to talk. So they say. But they don't just want to talk to Kushner and Witkoff. They don't trust them anymore. Who do they want to bring in to negotiate in Pakistan or Turkey next week? Why, our fearless vice president, of course.
Jet 4804 super chatted $1.99.
Thank you, Jet. Yeah, they must like all the J.D. Vance memes in Iran. They're all like, oh, well, this guy seems pretty cool.
Of course, our fearless vice president, J.D. Vance. Oh, really? Wow. That's really interesting because, Steve Witkoff.
You don't trust anybody on Trump's team at this point? I get that. I feel you. But I think there are people within Trump's administration who are being betrayed the same way you probably feel if you were a Trump voter. I don't know. What if RFK Jr. and Tulsi, when they start campaigning, they're campaigning that this was a huge mistake and a fuck up and they didn't support it. But I don't know. I do think we're going to see somebody from the Republican Party rise who's running and pointing to this point in time and saying that was a huge mistake and I will not make that mistake.
Has been dealing with the Iranians since January of last year. Steve Witkoff has been dealing with the Qataris and Hamas and Iran and Tom Barrack and Hezbollah and Syria. He's been dealing with all these parties. And Russia, he's the number one envoy, has all these relationships.
I think RFK Jr. could, as a Republican, RFK Jr. might be pretty dangerous to pull off a lot of the, the Maha crowd. Remember, they're not Republicans. Like you'd be pulling, RFK Jr. could probably pull a lot of independents and Democrats over.
Has a personal relationship with Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran. He's been there from the beginning. This is his file. All of a sudden, they say, oh, well, the Iranians, they want to talk, but they won't talk to just anybody. Not these bubble-blowing, goofy goober babies, Steve Witkoff. Now they want to bring in J.D. Vance. So are you telling me that next week J.D. Vance is going to broker the ceasefire to end the war? Because that would be something. That would be the mother of all psyops. In comes our fearless Vice President J.D. Vance to end World War III. They wouldn't talk to Witkoff. They wouldn't talk to Kushner. They would only talk to Vance. And so maybe that's going to be the photo op, is J.D. Vance in Turkey, in Pakistan, with the speaker of Iran's parliament, shaking hands, making the deal. And then he's going to be everywhere. I ended the war. And this is how he's going to outflank little Marco. Because, see, they don't want to talk to little Marco. The top 25 Wall Street donors, they want Marco to be the nominee in 2028. The donors want to start donating to Rubio for 28. They've chosen him over.
I don't think even if Rubio wasn't a warmongering piece of shit neocon, I don't think he has what it takes to win the presidency. He's not presidential. J.D. Vance, not very presidential either, but more presidential than Marco fucking Rubio.
At Nugs4424 super chatted $5. Here's this to help combat pork chopflation. I'll catch the replay and flood the comment section in the morning.
Yeah, well, pork should be generally safe, but of course everything's going to go up. That's including pork if the cost of energy goes up. But pork will still be fucking cheap. It's so fucking cheap.
Vance.
But thank you very much.
The
Nugs.
Iranians
Thank
don't
you,
want
sir.
little Marco. They want Vance. Interesting. And you know who else hailed the diplomacy efforts today on Twitter? Take a wild guess. So obviously the diplomacy is bullshit. Bullshit. The Iranians are saying they want reparations. They're saying they want the United States to abandon our bases in the Middle East. And Trump is saying, well, they've agreed to give up nuclear enrichment. Who's hailing these bullshit negotiations as legit and commending Trump for them? Why, Joe Kent, of course. Joe Kent.
Yeah, he doesn't trust Joe Kent at all. He doesn't I think he's got too much of a personal vendetta here because remember, this was a big story a while back. Fuentes supported Kent. But the one condition was that you could never disavow me. If you're asked about me, you cannot disavow me. And Kent did the smart political move, which was to disavow this dude who's, whatever you want to say politically, he's toxic. He even knows politically he's toxic. But yet he doesn't understand why Kent would disavow him. So I think he's got a little too much of a personal vendetta here. But who knows? Maybe Kent is just another snake playing a long game. It's possible.
Amazing. So wait a second. So wait just a minute. On Tuesday, Joe Kent said, I cannot, in good conscience, send young men and women to die in Iran like Israel made us do in Iraq, so I have to resign. That was on Tuesday. On Thursday, you're telling me these negotiations came together, and now on Monday, Joe Kent says, thank you, Mr. President. We must always pursue peace. I believe in diplomacy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. If Trump does something I like, I would say, hey, good. Thank you, Mr. President. Because the problem is I don't know if I even believe that they're really trying to negotiate a peace deal. But if I really believed it, I'd be like, thank you. Trump finally woke the fuck up. Somebody got to talk to Trump, or he realized he was making a mistake or whatever. But because I don't even really believe 100%, I'm probably at 20% that it's possible that it's true. And 80% it's just a fucking market manipulation to calm down the markets. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a little too much. He's covering his mouth. When you cover your mouth like that, that's a sign you're not being honest.
So what happened in the past week then? On Tuesday, it was a fever pitch. It was a crisis. You had to step down because this is a quagmire and there's no way out and we're all going to die. On Monday, now you're hailing these efforts. And
congratulations, St. Onion. I actually made some fire pork chops the other day, cooked just right, bone in. They were great. They are when you cook them right, man. The rub is very important. I had some pork chops, but I ran out of the rub I like to use, and it just wasn't the same. I like a 1836. That's the rub I put on the pork chops. The rub really makes the seasoning, the rub, and then just cooking them right. Getting them nice and cooked fast. Whatever. I'm getting off track. You got me thinking about pork chops. Congratulations, St. Onion. Welcome to the Pork Chop Club, buddy.
Who's going to lead them? Your buddy, J.D. Vance? And we're all going to buy that, and people will, and people will.
It's so weird. Like, Nick's willing to vote for Democrats. He doesn't hold the Democrats to any fucking standard whatsoever. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I still think voting for unless we get a moderate fucking, like, you know, an RFK Jr. goes back to being a Democrat or something and actually wins the primary, which will never happen. They'll fucking ice him out. If we got an actual fucking moderate, like, centrist, you know, Democrat and not one of these crazy fucks, then yeah, that could be on the table for me. But otherwise, and I don't know if I even see that happening, to be honest, because the Democrat primaries they're not, it's closed basically. They get to pick and choose who they want with their super delegates.
Spoiler alert, people will. The cattle, the goyim, are going to eat it up. Now, this is a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy theory. All of these forces are at work right now. Israel's at work. Vance and his team are at work. Forces are at work. And it remains to be seen who will win out here. I think that is something they're trying to do, though. Whether they succeed or not, I guess time will tell. But they're definitely trying to do that. And I think that's going to be the goal. How do we turn a negative to a positive for Vance? How do we prevent this from being the liability that torpedoes his presidential ambitions? Well, we'll make him the negotiator. We'll make him the peacemaker. The peace president. And all of you...
We really should... Someone said we should elect a pork chop. A pork chop wouldn't have done this. I don't know. Couldn't we just like just like completely get rid of the federal government and just let all the states... just like instead of having a federal government, just have the states basically have a defense pact where like our military is kind of like a NATO type thing that's ran by the states. You know, I don't know, but honestly, I do agree. If like we had zero federal government, or we had zero, or they did nothing except run the mill, like everything would be so much better. You're right. If we had a pork chop as president, things would be so much better.
Israel critical goyim are going to eat it up. You're going to say Joe Kent is based, Tucker is based, J.D. Vance, their best friend, ended the war. You're going to fall for it, like you did with Trump. And that's why you see that piece in the Times that says, well, Vance said he...
This is the problem, too, when people lie to you and then you don't trust anybody ever again. Everything's a fucking long con. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of times it is. But you're just like, you're kind of broken. You can never trust again. It's sad because I think there's going to be a lot of people that voted Trump that aren't going to feel that way. They're just going to completely drop out and just, they're going to get blackpilled. And even if a honest, good candidate comes along, they're not going to believe it.
He didn't like the war. He supports the president, but he didn't like the war. Something is going on. Something is going on in the White House. Mark my words. Something is going on in the White House. It is a proxy war in our own government between organized Jewry behind Rubio and the J.D. Vance team, the J.D. Vance entity, the entity known as J.D. Vance, you know, SRP 44, 49, you know, whatever, 48, SRP, what SCP 48, the entity known as J.D. Vance, and that whole Borg-like entity, they're trying to salvage his candidacy, save him from organized Jewry behind Rubio, and they're going to try to save the day in Iran. And ultimately, here's the other.
I could see if there is a primary, there's probably going to be a primary. I can see Vance being the anti-war, whether he really is or not, but taking the anti-war position against Marco Rubio and basically destroying Rubio, because Rubio is going to have to support the decisions made and come across like a warmonger, whereas Vance can run against it because people still kind of believe that Vance is against it. He's just keeping quiet and being loyal, even though he disagrees with this. And, kind of like Tulsi. People say Tulsi's a liar, but to me, it's very clear. Tulsi personally, politically, does not agree with this. And I think it's the same thing with Vance, but they still think the proper thing to do is to serve the president. That's their job, to serve the president. So agree or disagree, I think they should resign and pull do a Kent and just write a letter that says, hey, I can no longer be a part of this administration if this is the path we're taking.
Here's the next shoe to drop. The next shoe to drop is that Netanyahu is going to be facing an election in Israel.
I saw videos of like people like screaming. I think a lot of the population, like the citizens of Israel, are really not happy with Netanyahu. And the more that they keep dealing with having to go into the bunker every 10 minutes and missiles being flying over their head, like the more unpopular Netanyahu is getting in Israel.
And so maybe they want Netanyahu to lose the election and to be out of the picture, so we don't restart Iran, and Vance saves the day and finds peace and everything, and maybe that's the goal. Anyway, but we'll cover that more extensively, I think, tomorrow, if nothing else happens.
And maybe Nick's onto something. Or maybe he's being extra paranoid. I don't fucking know. CNN's Christian Amanpour exposes Trump's massive lie. She confirms the White House admits off the record that peace talks with Iran are completely fake. Iran is calling it fake news and accusing Trump of just trying to manipulate the stock market.
That's right, Andrew. And even the White House, sort of off the record, people are saying, actually, these so-called talks are nowhere near being, fully thought out or even meetings being scheduled yet. This is just messages that are being passed, I think probably from the United States to Iran via third parties. And they've mentioned, parties like Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt. But at the moment, there's been just a massive denial from Iran. I mean, whether we ask them by our own means of reaching them, or whether they say it on their broadcasts and on their social media, that they say this is fake news, it's just Donald Trump trying to play the market. And they say that the only way to have any negotiations is A, once the bombing stops, and B, they believe that, or at least they say that, the only way they'll stop is if there is some kind of agreement to make sure that they never get attacked again. And
yeah, but how can they believe it when we always lie to them? Like, we just consistently lie to them.
And that sanctions get lifted. So we're very, I think, far from the end of this.
I don't know. It's going to take a lot of trust for them to believe that. But I don't know. Maybe if they get it in writing or something. Terrifying revelation. Amanpour reports that Saudi Arabia and Gulf states are pushing Trump to completely destroy Iran. I heard Saudi Arabia, MBS, came out and said that's not true. But who knows?
Because, of course, they are outgunned and outclassed when it comes to Israel and the United States. And the more worrying thing is that potentially there are other actors that might get involved. You've probably seen all the reports coming from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you're not allowed to bring that up, Emma McHale says. Jesse Ventura was on Piers talking about our coup in the 50s being responsible for where we are now. Yeah, I really strongly believe that if we would have just minded our own business and left these fuckers alone, we probably wouldn't even be worried about Iran right now. But no, we always got to get in everybody's business, and then when they start to hate us, we go, well, see, they're dangerous because they hate us. And it's like, well, why do you think they hate us? I don't know. We need to be more like China. Like, China's doing these peace corps and shit where they like go into countries and help them out. And like, how many countries has China invaded? Everybody talk about China so damn. How many countries has China invaded and regime change and all that shit? I know they're not a great regime, but they seem to be a lot smarter about foreign policy and how to create goodwill so the fucking whole world doesn't hate them.
Arabia and elsewhere, suggesting that the Gulf Arabs have really had enough, and that they have their red lines have been crossed, with Iran striking so much of their economy, energy, and even their tourism and the other, that they might get involved. We haven't seen that yet, but that's the word that's being sort of the next phase, with reports coming from Saudi Arabia that MBS, the de facto ruler, is apparently telling Trump to finish it once and for all. So what you have now is...
Okay, how many people are in Saudi Arabia that can you send? Saudi Arabia, why don't you volunteer to go take the Strait of Hormuz, to go take Karg Island? Why don't you go put the boots on the ground then, Saudi Arabia?
Israel believing and saying...
But no, we're going to be the ones, right? And we're the ones that have to go die.
That this is a chance to change the Middle East forever. And now Saudi Arabia apparently saying that as well. We'll wait to try to get some more confirmation on that. But I think potentially there's a moment where all sides believe that they have to go to the end, and it'll be a changed Middle East, and we'll see which party is
I know that's what I know Israel wants that. Iran, from First Squawk, Global Financial News, Iran refuses peace talks with Trump's backstabbing negotiators, according to the Telegraph. Yeah, that would not surprise me. If the White House leaves a wounded, and here's John Bolton, what do you think he thinks about this? You watch, dude. If Trump really does come up with a peace deal and end this shit without a regime change, without boots on the ground, you watch, all these neocons who've been sucking Trump's dick are going to flip and start attacking him. And that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see.
Joining us now is John Bolton. He was President Trump's national security advisor in his first term. He's also the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador Bolton, thanks so much for joining us. As you know, Iran denies there's been any dialogue with the U.S., but what do you make of these talks between the two countries based on what President Trump is saying?
Well, you know, both Qatar and Oman also deny that they're engaged in any mediation, so I'm not sure where the talks were. I think it's pretty clear, though, that the Asian markets overnight took a pretty big hit. The Nikkei average in Tokyo was down 3.5%. So was the Shanghai exchange average, down about 3.5%. So it's certainly convenient that there were productive talks going on so that our markets would come back up in terms of price of stocks and down the price of oil. I hope that's right. We'll find out soon enough. But I think the basic problem remains the.
Yeah, I don't know the number in Israel as well for the people that support it or don't support it, but I know there's a strong anti-war movement in Israel, and I would imagine it's growing right now.
Regime is, as long as they're there, they now have.
Believe it or not, there are Israelis, even ex-Israeli prime ministers, who are absolutely against what's going on right now.
Have palpable proof that if they close the Strait of Hormuz, the world's economy suffers. So their leverage is significantly up if we allow this to continue and allow the regime to remain in place.
As you know, Iran has now threatened retaliation against power plants of U.S. allies and to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed indefinitely. That's what they're promising if the U.S. attacked Iran's own power plants. Do you suspect the Trump administration took those threats seriously?
Well, it's hard to know, since the threat to attack Iran's civilian energy capabilities sort of came out of nowhere with a 48-hour deadline. I don't know how that decision was actually made, but the Gulf Arab states have warned us for a long time not to go after certainly Iran's export capabilities or its oil infrastructure broadly, precisely because they feared retaliatory attacks on them. I don't know what produced the Saturday ultimatum from Trump. I think ultimatums are fine in this case, but there's still plenty of military targets to go after to achieve the objective of opening the strait. If we can't open,
I think Trump is just trying to fucking kind of like a Hail Mary. Like, if I put this fucking, maybe if I threaten to do this and they'll finally fucking, concede and come to the table. I wonder if he had any real plans to do it, because that is a pretty dastardly move to start hitting power plants. But I mean, an all-out war, of course, eventually things are going to get to that level if you're going to just go all-out war with a country.
Open the strait through military means, then we're in serious trouble given the implications.
But you can kiss, I think if you do that, you can kiss goodbye the uprising within Iran. I think you can already, no one's talking about that anymore, are they? Oh, they're just waiting for the signal. It's like, whatever, dude. You killed 200 fucking kids. You're bombing their place. You're bombing their home. I don't think you're going to have enough people. And then the people that probably are willing to take on the regime within Iran, do they even have guns? They even have a way of fighting?
That we've taught the Ayatollahs in Tehran for how they can leverage the strait, open or closed, into the future indefinitely as they choose.
Ambassador, has the U.S. done enough damage to Iran that the president can now simply walk away and declare victory, in your view?
Certainly not as long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but I think what he's done so far, he started out as far back as January calling for regime change. If you leave a wounded beast in control in Tehran at this point, They will rebuild the nuclear capability. They will rebuild the terrorist infrastructure. They will strengthen the regime again. And we're just going to face this. It's only a matter of time when. I think that.
I think John Bolton should be one of the first ones to drop into Karg Island. Come on, Bolton. Time for you to go fight.
The regime is under enormous pressure. I hope, I've said from the beginning, we should be working with the opposition, coordinating with them, assisting them, providing them resources, including weapons. They are the ones who can help carry out regime change inside Iran based on the destabilization of the regime that our attacks has caused. And to give that up now, I think really it says to the regime that they've got the patience and the resolve, and we do not.
What do you expect is factoring into the urgency right now for all these new talks? And there's some indication that Egypt and Turkey may be intermediaries between the U.S. and Iran.
Well, I think Trump is worried about the effect on markets, obviously caused by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which again raises the question, why wasn't this made a priority earlier in the military action? It was absolutely correct to go after Iran's air defenses, to go after its ballistic missiles, which were a big part of their retaliatory.
As long as you're at war with Iran, people are not going to take the chance with the Strait of Hormuz unless Iran, like there are ships getting through right now because Iran's letting them. Because you're like, you're not a Israeli ship or an American ship. You can communicate with Iran and get permission to go through. So there's a lot of ships going through right now. So essentially it's open, but Iran has to approve you, right? Iran has to go, okay, you're not an American Israeli ship or whatever. You can go. But yeah, if you're going to have war with Iran, there's no way you like any kind of threat. Like all Iran has to do is make the tiniest threat, whether it's legitimate or not, to lay mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and it shuts it all down. So how do you stop it? You could have a fucking 10 U.S. fucking carriers or whatever. You could have a massive Navy presence in the Strait of Hormuz. If people think there's any chance that they could hit a mine going across with their billion-dollar fucking ships, they're not going to do it. Okay? So the way you open up the Strait of Hormuz is you stop fighting the war in Iran and you get the fuck out of there.
Capability, but closing the Strait of Hormuz was obviously part of that capability and known to everyone. So it should have been a priority earlier so that we might not be under this pressure now.
Ambassador John Bolton, thanks as usual for joining us.
Don't think that fucking... I'll thank you when you're fucking storming the beaches of was it Karg Island? Let's send him to Karg Island. I think he'd be a great fucking special forces guy. Update on attacks on Iran by U.S. Israel damage 498 schools and 281 medical facilities. Obviously, the war hawks, the pro-Iran regime change types would be like, oh, that's propaganda. Well, I know we did hit one school, and it was, what was the last count? Like 200 schoolgirls? Even our own investigation shows that to be the case. So yeah, but like I said earlier, that's what it takes. If you guys want to free the people of Iran who are suffering so bad, we need to kill more of their children. And then they'll be free. The 1-month ceasefire situation. Israeli media is now reporting that U.S. envoys Witkoff and Kushner are preparing for a 1-month ceasefire with Iran. This ceasefire will be utilized to hold talks as the war nears the end of its 4th week. But will Iran accept? It's become increasingly clear that Iran's primary source of leverage in the war is their ability to dictate the narrative in capital markets. If a ceasefire is announced, driving treasury yields and oil prices lower, Iran loses a significant portion of their bargaining power. This points to further rejection of peace talks by Iran. However, it is now clear that there's a lot happening behind the scenes and the war appears to be closer to its end than its beginning. We expect immense volatility ahead. Okay, I hope it's closer to the end. Breaking. The U.S. is preparing options for military escalation in Iran, including potential boots on the ground in the case peace talks fail, per Axios. A White House official says the situation is fluid and Trump wants to see if Iran will make a deal, but if not, we will go back to bombing them. What do you mean? We've been bombing them. If we're not bombing them, Israel's bombing them. I'm pretty sure we're probably still bombing them too. Like, what the fuck are we talking about, dude? Breaking. The U.S. has developed a 15-point plan to end the Iran war. Here's all the fucking... Well, there's 4 of them. Proposal includes many of the same demands the U.S. made during the last round of nuclear talks in Geneva. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff has told Trump that Iran has agreed on giving up their stockpile of highly enriched uranium. 3. The document calls for zero uranium enrichment in Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned Trump might strike a deal that falls well short of Israel's objectives. Iran continues to deny that talks are taking place. Weird. Breaking. U.S. oil prices drop as low as $86.50 a barrel. Super low, guys. Super low. I mean, it's good. I'm glad they're dropping. U.S. oil prices drop on reports that U.S. is seeking a 1-month ceasefire with Iran. So this could be the whole reason behind all of this talk this week. It's just like, hey, maybe if we just keep saying we're working on a peace deal, we can calm these markets and this, we can get a kind of a break this week of the price going through the roof. And that just buys us time, because that's what we need right now, just to buy time. I don't know. Hopefully they are actually working on a peace deal. Just in, Iran's list of demands for ceasefire with the United States.
Well, some of these have been put out into the public sphere from the Iranian side. For example, the president of Iran has said that one of the things that would need to happen would be security guarantees, assurances that the war would not be resuming. Reuters has cobbled together a list here that you see here. Compensation for wartime losses. We've even heard the Iranians use the term reparations. Formal control of the Strait of Hormuz, no ballistic missile program limitations. That last one especially is going to be a difficult one for the Israeli side to swallow, and more than likely from the Americans as well. There are indications.
So one side's going to have to make concessions. Whatever side makes concessions, they're going to look like they're the ones that really want peace because they're losing. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to work out.
That Iran has said that they're prepared to dig their heels in on all of this, believing that they have some degree of leverage, which is why when you listen to people here in the Israeli public, they're not putting a lot of stock into the potential for any talks here, believing that the gap to bridge is just simply a little bit too far wide. And most people here believe that there's still a ways to go in this war.
I think a lot of people agree with that. I think a lot of people are very skeptical that this is a legitimate peace talk that's going to lead to anything. Let's hope. Exclusive from Tehran, you took all the money. Oh yeah, this is the guy. Exclusive from Tehran, you took all the money and now your soldiers are suffering because there are no salaries. Give back what you stole. These are remarks by Iran's Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, obtained by senior Iran analyst Dror Balzada. Ghalibaf's comments reveal his desperate attempt to hold his jihadi coalition together. I don't trust you to stop the Americans at Karg and Hormuz. Balzada shows how relentless American and Israel attacks on the IRGC have pushed Ghalibaf, a corrupt yet intelligent regime official, to be the one pushing for a deal with POTUS, real Donald Trump. So yeah, this Ghalibaf guy apparently is the guy that we're in peace talks with. But he seems to be kind of putting himself out on a ledge, because I don't think the hardliners, especially the military in Iran, I don't think they want this at all. They feel like they're winning and they want to keep fighting.
מאחורי הקלעים של המלחמה מתנהל קרב לא פחות דרמטי בתוך ההנהגה של איראן עצמה. במרכזו עומד יושב ראש הפרלמנט האיראני מוחמד באגר גליבאף, ששמו הוזכר בהקשר של המגעים עם ארצות הברית, דמות שמקורותינו מגדירים שנויה במחלוקת וכוחנית במשטר. לפי אותם מקורות, גליבאף דוחף כעת למשא ומתן עם האמריקנים. הסיבה פשוטה, הוא מקבל דיווחים מהשטח על עריקות שהולכות וגדלות בכוחות הביטחון.
Dude, all the... That's a hard language to listen to. God bless them, though. Good people, I imagine. I don't know who they are. I don't even know. I don't know what language it is. But all the phlegmy shit is just like too much, dude. I'm glad we don't have that kind of shit in our language, our vocabulary. You know, all the...
חיילים שאינם מקבלים משכורות, קריסה של מטבע החוץ, והבנה שהלחץ האמריקני לא ייעצר. ראשי משמרות המהפכה מתנגדים להסכם עם ארצות הברית. הם טוענים שאפשר להחזיק מעמד גם במחיר כבד. ועכשיו אנחנו מפרסמים בשיחות שמתקיימות בבונקרים התת-קרקעיים. רליבאף עצמו אינו נשאר שקט. כך הוא אומר לראשי משמרות המהפכה לפי מקורביו. לקחתם את כל הכסף, ועכשיו החיילים שלכם סובלים כי אין משכורות. תחזירו את מה שגנבתם. במקום אחר הוא מוסיף, אני לא סומך עליכם שתעצרו את האמריקנים בחרג ובהורמוז. לפי אותם גורמים זו אינה רק פוליטיקה, זה גם מאבק אישי. מקורותיי טוענים, רליבאף מושחת אבל אינו טיפש. הוא מבין בדיוק מה קורה סביבו, הוא רואה מה קרה לחברים שלו, והוא אוהב את החיים הטובים. ולכן הוא דוחף להסכם. גם אם זה אולי עשוי להיראות כמו קנייה. מבחינתו תמיד אפשר לשקר, להתאושש ולחזור להתחמש. עכשיו מבחינתו אין ברירה, צריך לעצור את הקריסה באיראן. זה כבר אינו רק עימות מול העולם, זו מלחמה על השליטה באיראן עצמה. שלמרות רצונו של רליבאף, משמרות המהפכה לא יהססו במידת הצורך להזיז אותו הצידה, למרות שהם מעריכים אותו כל כך.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense. You know, you have this power vacuum in Iran after we just keep murdering all their leadership. And they probably don't all agree on the path forward now. So there's probably going to be a lot of infighting and there might even be some assassinations. What was the one? Because there was one where somebody said there's like plans that they're already planning to execute that guy. I guess I missed it. But yeah, I saw a report that like there are Iranians that already want to execute that guy for trying to make a peace deal. The Ghalibaf. Mark Levine, so Monday, Joe Kent was on with Mark Levine, and Mark Levine is just terrible, dude. He's like not entertaining, terrible interviewer, and everybody was giving him shit because, he just did a terrible job. But here's one of the highlights from it.
President Trump said no nuclear weapons. And then through official engagements through the Israelis and then also the media echo chamber that wanted regime change in Iran said, no, we need to say that the Iranians can't.
What about the media echo chamber, your buddies who didn't want regime change in Iran? There's a lot of echo chambers out there, wouldn't you say?
It appears that your media echo chamber was much more successful.
No, it wasn't.
What do you mean? The anti-Iran war stuff, it's not an echo chamber because it's uniting people across. It's uniting people that would never be united otherwise. Like literally, Antifa types and people who voted for Trump could literally come together and unite on this shit. So that's not an echo chamber. But you guys definitely, you neocon pieces of shit are an echo chamber, no doubt about that.
I never lobbied the president. Hey, pay attention to me. I never lobbied the president. You guys keep putting that crap out there. I met with the president once at his request. And I said to the president, ready for this, Joe? I said, they're saying out there that I'm lobbying you. You know what he did? He laughed. You know what he said?
We got to take your word for it? Yeah. You're a fucking known liar. You lie like every 10 seconds. So I can't take your word for it.
Said, Mark, I know where you stand. I watch your show on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, so you lobby him on your show. So you don't have to lobby him in person. He just watches your show. And
anything I say here, pay attention. Anything I say here is what I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
I did what?
You can lobby him by using the power of your show, the power of your
Come on, brother. You're sounding almost ridiculous now. Now let's go on. I have a question.
No, he's not. That's absolutely true. If he's watching your show, then he's listening to what you have to say. And yeah, he's going to listen. Obviously, he likes what you're saying. He probably likes that you're just sucking his dick really hard. You know, because that's the shows he wants to watch. He wants to watch the shows where they just go full dick sucking mode. And you guys have been doing a good job of that. But if Trump backs down, they're going to stop sucking his dick. They're going to go back to it. Never Trump again. Iran is now releasing cartoons that Trump can understand. Iran's winning the meme. Iran is winning the meme wars. No doubt about it. sending ships in the Strait of Hormuz. We want other countries to do it because we will lose something. They're just going to keep sending drones like crazy. So what was it? 101, Trump said? 101 of them, not a single one hit. All right, well, what if it was 200? I think eventually one's going to hit. I don't think they even want to risk it, chance it. And yeah, Iran's making more money than ever right now, too. That's another thing. They're selling more oil at a higher price. Like, this war's actually, in some ways, been good for Iran. I don't know what that gibberish means. It's definitely a quagmire. Dave Smith was getting into it with, I saw a clip of PBD. He's like, we got to go all the way. We got to finish him off. It's like, okay, again, you can join John Bolton in the front lines. Let's drop PBD off at Carg Island. Let him fight it out.
Look, I mean, Pierce, if you look at the polls, what the polls tell us is that this is the most unpopular war in American history going into the war. And CNN is going to read you these North Korea numbers. Actually, in fact, I think it was better than Kim Jong-un did in his last election, 100% of MAGA. But what does that really mean? I mean, the truth is, Pierce, you kind of nailed it here in your opening, right? Even when Joe Biden was clearly senile and was forced to pull out of his reelection campaign, the majority of Biden supporters still supported him, and like there was still going to be like 40-something% of the electorate would have voted for Joe Biden. Now, that wasn't enough, though, and that's why they forced him out, because you need a coalition to carry you here. So this comes down to like how you're defining MAGA. If you want to say Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and Andrew Schultz and all these guys, they're not MAGA. Well, okay, but they were relevant enough for Donald Trump to go on all of their shows in the campaign. And the point is that the coalition that got Donald Trump elected in 24, that got him for the first time ever to win the popular vote, that coalition has been destroyed. And the final thing I'll say is this, Pierce, I made this prediction on my show the other day, but right now you kind of have these two, broadly speaking, camps, say Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, maybe people like me, who are saying the coalition has been destroyed. And then on the other side, you have people like you played Bacha, Ben Shapiro, who are saying, no, the coalition is fine.
This bullshit. Anybody that's claiming that the coalition's fine, and there are people trying to say, oh, MAGA's stronger than ever, and they're just like, it's total cope, bro, and it's just denial of reality. And when we say MAGA's dead, we're talking about the coalition that's needed to win elections. That's how it's dead. Because what you did was you just made every independent swing voter who came over to vote for you feel like an idiot. And they're not going to do it again.
What we've learned...
You'd have to have a really, really terrible candidate on the Democrat side that's so bad those people will go back and vote for MAGA again just out of fear. That might be the only way to pull it off. But most likely, they're just not going to vote. They're going to stay home.
Is that Tucker Carlson doesn't matter. Give it a couple months, Pierce, and I promise you, everyone on that side will say the coalition has been destroyed and it's Tucker's fault. This is going to tank Donald Trump's presidency. We're already past the point of that. The Democrats are going to win the House and the Senate. It's going to be impeachments and subpoenas and investigations for the next 2 years. And
then they'll blame it on us. It'll be all the MAGA doomers who jumped off and blah, 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 and they're taking $7,000 a month from Qatar, blah, blah, blah. Like, they will never admit that they fucked it up themselves and they destroyed MAGA so they could have their little warmongering. It's all going to be my fault. It's going to be Dave Smith's fault. It's going to be all of us for not being a good little boy and ride or die with every war and everything Trump wants to do. If Trump wants to fuck your mom, you let him fuck your mom. That's being a good loyal servant,
I don't think anyone from this administration can win the presidential in 28 at this pace.
Yeah, I think it was already looking like a foregone conclusion. This just kind of cements the deal that the midterms are going to be a bloodbath, and we'll see what happens. Still a lot of time before the 2028 election. A lot of things can happen, but
you live in America, tough guy. You have the luxury of sitting in your little studio with your hooded sweater like you're 17 years old. The regime. You mean all American presidents?
I'm 17
Who's your
years
favorite
old?
president in the last 50 years?
Adam, I'm 17 years old.
Who's your favorite president in the last 50 years?
I have a wife and children. Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
When that's your response, you start twitching and like malfunctioning. You got him.
Okay,
Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
Okay, I also have
if you want to make it personal,
other, so you want to go personal?
You have a significant
Dave,
other.
okay.
I gotta watch that again. He literally malfunctions in real time.
Children. Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
Okay, I also have
if you want to make it personal,
other, so you want to go personal?
You have a significant
Dave,
other.
we can go as personal as we can go.
No, I'm trying not to.
We can go as personal as you want.
Respond to one thing.
I don't care, Dave.
Adam, some substance.
I don't care.
I know because you don't know anything.
Dave, you're a radical.
So move on. So
Okay.
stop picking a fight with me, dude. You don't know anything about anything. You're Pat's guy.
I know.
And I
Dave,
like
here's
you,
what
dude.
here's,
I like you.
Here's
I
what
like
I'm
your
gonna tell
show.
you.
I respect Pat.
Dave. Okay. Zay, zip it. Here we go. I'll talk now for a second.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking care of your mother. Obviously, that's very honorable. I take care of my father. Okay, I don't have kids. I take care of my father. So, like, I'm just admitting, like that was a winner. Okay, by Adam's reaction. Adam's a loser. Everybody knows this.
Dave. Okay. Zay, zip it. Here we go. I'll talk now for a second. I'm defending the military right now. You're basically saying that all our boys that go to the military are all terrorists. That's what you're saying.
No.
You're equating that the United States of America, the IDF, are the equivalent of ISIS and Al Qaeda. By the way, I also used to respect you until you went on a little podcast called Coleman Hughes. What happened on that podcast, Dave? This is the problem. I'll tell you a quick story.
Why don't you do it right now, Adam? Why don't you do it?
I'll do it right now, Dave. I'll do it right now. Because here's what Dave is. Here's Dave Smith. By the way, 1% of Americans vote for libertarians every year.
So, like usual, right? This is how you know somebody's lost, because they're not engaging in the substance of Dave Smith's argument against the war, of how the war is a terrible decision, how it's going to destroy the MAGA coalition. It's all personal attacks.
So you're trying to basically say that you know more than the average American. 1% of Americans vote for your people, Dave. Why don't you run for something? Why don't you stand for something? You stand for nothing.
Okay, can I respond? Again, Pierce, this is the level of substance.
No. Here we go. I'm going to tell you a story, Dave, and then you can respond. Because this is where I lost respect for you as a debater. Because I was like, oh, this guy, Dave, he actually knows some stuff. He's doing his thing. And then you showed up on Coleman Hughes' podcast. Pierce, do you know who Coleman Hughes is?
I do. He's been on the show.
I've been on the show with him.
Perfect. That's this guy right here, just in case.
We can't see that idiot. It's not helpful.
It doesn't see.
But what is the point you're making?
I watched this podcast.
Get to your point.
The point is this. Dave gets out there and he tries to bully people and say that he's so smart. He reads a lot of books. Good for you, Dave. But what happens when you run into somebody who's way smarter and bullies the bully? I remember
Is that you, Adam?
Growing up in this town of Miami, so there was this kid that used to pick on all the kids that we went to school with. And one day, some new kid showed up, and he goes, oh, yeah, let's go, buddy. Let's do this. And the bully goes, oh, what do you mean? What do you want to do? And he goes, no, yeah, you want to fight?
What the fuck does this have to do with the Iran war being a stupid fucking decision, a betrayal to the MAGA base, and something that's going to destroy MAGA's ability to have any political power in a meaningful way in the future? What does that have anything to do with anything, dude?
Everybody, you want to take everybody's lunch? Let's go. And the new kid beat the crap out of the bully. And here's what happened with Dave. He's out there just doing his little podcast thing, debating, like you said, Ben Shapiro, 19-year-olds. And then all of a sudden, this whole conversation about Wesley Clark, and I saw him on your podcast about a week ago, Pierce, and this memo, here you go, Dave. Remember this memo from Wesley Clark that you used to cite everything?
This is adorable.
That you used to cite.
Yeah, that didn't go very well. Kind of pathetic, to be honest. Another one who's kind of pathetic. I don't know if you saw the clips, but Dan Bongino's been getting harassed on the streets. Like, he's probably one of the most hated people in this country right now, and he's crashing out. It's a long-term crash out too. It's not like a short-term crash out, like a little 5-minute crash out. This is like a nonstop, never-ending crash out.
Not like these tools. Here's Daddy a little while ago. Here again. You want to see the PSYOP in action? He claims to have some hidden knowledge, Mike Flynn Sr., about the Charlie Kirk crime scene he was never at. Knows nothing about the investigation at all, but he's got hidden knowledge, folks.
You're talking about General Flynn? I don't give a fuck about anything else. General Flynn, who was a huge Trump supporter, is 100% against this war. So I don't give a fuck about anything else. God bless him.
Folks.
God bless a general being like, this is dumb. And who would know better about military decisions than a fucking ex-general? Which most of the ones I hear from are completely against this and think it's utterly fucking stupid.
He just doesn't tell you what it is. It's about 25 seconds or so. But I want you to listen to this. And again, who's the fraud and the liar? Check this out.
You. If we did a poll as to who the fraud and liar was across everybody in this world, it would be you. Okay? This guy talking about PSYOPs when he's fucking burying the Epstein files and lying to people. Epstein definitely committed suicide. Watch this video. It proves it. The video proves nothing. This is a guy that knows about PSYOPs.
I don't believe that it was a lone wolf, 22-year-old tranny who wrote a perfect, whatever it was, text message to his lover or whatever. It was clear that they dirtied up the crime scene for certain. There's no doubt about that.
For certain. You know that, Mike? Really?
Well, isn't there video evidence of them dirtying up the crime scene? I mean, you know me, I'm not a big, I don't push the conspiracies around Charlie Kirk because I just don't know. I believe it could have been Tyler Robinson, and maybe there's a conspiracy there where he was working with, some Democrats, or maybe even, who knows? But I think a lot of this is just fishing for fucking stories that sell and people want to hear about. But but isn't there video evidence of them like removing the camera and like stepping all over the, so yeah, I mean, it's on video, ain't it?
You willing to say that under oath and provide any actual evidence? I've gone easy on this guy for a while because I feel bad for him, what he's been through.
You know, he looks so tough when he's sitting at his little fucking desktop table, little podcast table. But when you see him walking in real life, he looks so frail and weak. He's like kind of hunched over and old looking. But in this angle, he could really look like he's a tough guy. We got to find the video of everybody yelling at him again.
No one defended him more than me. I've written books about what happened to this guy, and it's a damn shame.
By the way, guys, we're almost done with the show. So if you haven't smashed a thumbs up, it's much appreciated. If you do want to support the show and become a member, it'd be a good time to do it now before the show's over, because I could use some support, guys, if you appreciate the show. Let me find this clip, because I want to show you, like, he looks so tough right here, but when you see him in real life, he looks sad and pathetic and weak.
But once the grift virus infects your mind, there's no saving you. And there's no saving him either.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I love this show today. Thank you, Dan, for calling these people out. EK Harris 68. I'm tired of these mother.
Say it, pussy.
You want to play? Let's play. We can do a show like this every day.
I don't trust a man who can't even have the balls to say motherfucker.
At L_Yeffa-67 super chatted $10. Bongino is so hated even his hairline is trying to get away from him.
It's a good one. Thank you for the $10, LFA. I believe it. Now it explains it. It explains what's going on with his hairline.
I've got volumes of influence out there and an army of people who have receipts for days about all your bullshit. Now, Flynn and his groups, they host these events, and who pops up after betraying President Trump? Wow, look at that. Joe Kent does. So weird, right away. It's almost like this was an op the whole time. Really strange. Flynn, Igor. Igor pops up in South Florida. Who's paying these people? Igor pops up with Little Man and Ogre. Guy, keep in mind, guys who never done jack shit.
Yeah. I mean, all the same things can be said about you, Bongino. You didn't do jack shit when you had a chance to do something. And yeah, who's paying you? Mr. I'm going to go in there. We're going to fucking address the obscene. And then you get in there and you cover it up and you act real fucking weird. Real fucking weird. Yeah, here's tough guy Bongino in real life. He doesn't seem as tough in real life. He seems like a weak, frail, sad, depressed old man. Hold on, I gotta minimize this to make this work. A weak, sad, pathetic old man who, like Trump, is a betrayer.
You're a pedophile protector. A pedophile protector. Pedophile protector.
Yeah, this one, I think he drops the F-bomb. I can't play that one. I don't want to play the one with the F-bomb. There's another one that you don't hear an F-bomb. I can't take any chances on YouTube, boys. You know how YouTube feels about me. YouTube probably just waiting for me to slip up. Here's Enrique Tarrio calling him out. I mean, this one might have the F-bomb too, okay? I just want to say, if an F-bomb slips out, I condemn F-bombs completely. We're covering this for the news, and it just happened to be somebody said it, and it's a newsworthy thing. But I condemn it 100%. I support all the communities, okay? All of them. Every community.
I got 22 fucking years. Now you don't even want to look in my eyes. You fucking coward. If you weren't coward that day, you were a coward after, and you're another coward.
You're a traitor to this country.
Yeah, so are you.
You're a traitor to this country.
You're a fucking traitor, piece of shit.
Yeah. So everywhere he goes, he's getting fucking, yeah, this is the one where he looks really pathetic, I think.
You got it? Got it.
Come on, Bongo. Bongo the traitor.
Why don't you put your name on?
You're a pet.
Bongo the
Rusty
traitor.
Shackleford 6060 super chatted $5. I feel bad for Bongino. I fear the deep state crushed him.
Yeah, it's possible, but the way he acts, like so self-righteous and like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they fucking are threatening to kill some people, or like, you know, oh, we know where your daughter goes to school, or, you know, some shit like that. But it sure seems like, I don't know, man. I feel like this guy just is a pussy who just, you know, did what he was told to do and didn't fight back. He's a good little soldier.
Pedophile protector. A pedophile protector. Pedophile protector. I was a cop for 9 years. You're a pedophile protector, faggot.
Oh, this is the one. Disavow. I condemn that. Like, I was trying to avoid it. Yeah, that's the one. I knew there was like 3 different angles because there were so many people fucking confronting him here. Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for the support. 83 likes. Again, you know, on the way out, if you enjoyed the show, a little tappy poo on the likes. You know, help me get this show out there. Help me help you, as the great Jerry Maguire said. You know, help me help you. Much love, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow night for another episode of the Pink Trip Show. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Much love.
Please subscribe and hit the like and ring that bell if you want notified. Here's some other videos to watch that you might like or you might not.
Thank you, Redonk, for the 5. Thank you, brother.
Day, my internet.
And thank you for signing up on Patreon, Redonk. God bless you.
Once again, please subscribe and hit the like and ring that bell if you want notified. a great day, my internet friend. I hope I'll see you once again. Please subscribe and hit the like and ring that bell if you want notified.